wouldn't be right to kick off this podcast if we didn't bring up the fact that I ended last show with a classic TSR jinx. JP, could you possibly remember what I might be referring to?
I actually do not know what you're talking about. No.
Closing minutes of the show, we start talking about Ovechkin.
Oh.
And what did I say? I said he was going to score goal number 894 off of a giveaway from blank player. It was Henri Jokiharju in the dying seconds. And what does he do the following night?
Rips a freaking snipe heard around the world.
Never fails. Every time. It's without fail. I mean, I had one that night, too. I did have one that night. I said the 2-1 loss was inevitable. There we go. Using my powers for good.
Seemed like it was going to be. It really did. Jokiharju, I mean, Dostal helped him, but it was a rip. It was nice. It was really nice.
That's a tough puck to save. I mean, that was genuinely a snipe. I mean, that was insane. That was like a Jeff Skinner goal.
Yeah, but like just Dostal like pushing the net up gave him some extra room. It still would have went in, but a little bit of cushion on either side.
That might be the moment that he's most remembered for. Whenever he retires and the jersey goes up in the rafters, and when it's all said and done, when he's at the podium giving his Sabres Ring of Honor speech, we'll all be remembering that moment.
Tear will come to my eye.
That was like his wristo through the legs, end-to-end goal versus the Sharks moment.
That will be remembered. I mean, you already got one of our favorite accounts on Twitter, the Bowen Byram fan account. He's like the newest Yoki stan. It's like hilarious. He went under like a Washington Capitals post. They were saying this man can't stop scoring, and he goes, "You're talking about Yoki, right?"
Oh my God.
Folks, welcome back to another episode of the Sabre Roundtable. My name is Jonah.
I'm Christian.
I'm JP.
I'm Jesse.
And as always, we will be talking to you about all things Buffalo Sabres hockey and even a little bit of the wider NHL. Today, we'll be recapping a huge comeback win by the Sabres in Tuesday night's affair versus the Anaheim Ducks. And then finally, after weeks of talking about it and pushing it off, we will finally get to some of our mid-season Buffalo Sabres player grades. It started as, it was going to be middle of the season. Then it became, we'll do a Four Nations player grades. And now it's just, I guess, pre-trade deadline.
I kind of like the spot we ended up in, though, because leading up to the trade deadline, it kind of is a good measuring stick as to where each player has performed throughout the year and if they're considered bait. So,
and with how popular this podcast is too, we can give some guys really good grades and boost their trade value a little bit.
You're right.
That's a great point.
All the insiders will be picking up on this information.
On the edge of their seat, waiting for what we have to say on these guys. So,
yeah,
it's only right that the night that NBA Sentinel died, that we take the spot as the source of fake news.
Don't make me cry, bro. Don't make me cry on the podcast. I was so sad when I saw that. He was on a absolute
generational run. Generational. I hope someday, like you have NBA accounts tweeting about that, like Free Sentinel, or Sentinel. Just God.
Sentinel school walkout. But did you see the NHL had their own version of Sentinel the other day with Frank Saravalli?
Frank Saravalli. GMs were fooled by a fake Frank Saravalli tweet.
Dude, it fooled me like twice reading it. I was like,
what was
Frank
it? I didn't even see
Frank Saravalli. Like, I read the tweet and I was like, this is the same name twice. I was like, oh no, this is Frank Saravalli.
What was the tweet? Report. Report.
Jeez, I don't even remember. Did it have something to do with the Wild or the?
I didn't catch this either.
I
just saw people tweeting about Frank.
Which makes you think, how chronically online do these GMs have to be? They're like, I didn't see this fake tweet, and they were like, Probably calling out the like, did you see this shit? You're like sending them a Frank Saravalli Twitter link. Crazy. Anyways, we will be getting into our Sabres player grades after a long wait, and that's basically all we got for today. So, Sabres versus Ducks. The day starts out funny because all of a sudden, after a big win against the Rangers, some people, I don't know why they did it, but some people started looking at the standings and being now like, hey, hypothetically, tonight they could be 9 points out of a spot. And you string a couple wins here together, like you might be talking about being 6 points out of a spot pretty soon. And I don't know why people would do this to themselves. I don't know why I believed it myself, kind of got into it, kind of upped the stakes for that night, because they're still 11 points out. They're still, as of right now, they're still last in the conference. And JP and I spent a good chunk last episode talking about it. Like, it's ridiculous that.
Not in points percentage, they're not.
Did they pass the Penguins?
The Penguins just got curb stomped by the Capitals. They're just. Is Crosby going to be an Av, bro? Oh, the Flyers. Sorry, not the Capitals.
You're mixing blowouts up.
I am.
I saw they've been outscored like 22-6 their last like 3 to 4 games.
Is Crosby going to be an Av? Is it in the stars, boys? Is it going to happen?
I don't know, man. Penguins Twitter reacting to like their first tank-worthy season is in like however long is it's very funny.
They all just freaking out.
Yeah, I saw like Malkin should be. People are like, we should have traded Malkin after 2018. It's like,
what?
Like you're a year removed from the cup, and you. Anyways, funny.
You're not familiar with how this works. Let me break it down for you real quick.
This isn't how this is supposed to go.
Remember how bad they freaked out when the Rantanen and stuff was going down, and Biz on Twitter was like, "Oh, Crosby to the Avs is gonna happen." Like he was getting like death threats and stuff.
They'll get it one day. They'll get to a point of apathy where they're just like, "Yeah, maybe it'll happen." I don't know.
They'll be right next to us. And we go into that night, and once again, the Sabres having. I think at JP pulled this stat last episode. Aren't they the best first period team in all of hockey?
Yeah. I didn't pull anything. I feel like they mention it on the broadcast every single game because it's absurd. But yeah,
they might have gone away because they did go into the first intermission down 1-0. But first 20 minutes, they scored 5 goals versus the New York Rangers in the first period, and that first period versus the Ducks might have been better. They were all over the ice, 2 posts, chances galore. I think they missed the net 9 times, but had 25, 30 shot attempts. Lucas Dostal's a freak. I thought that he was going to say. Those last 2 goals that he let in are you kind of shrug your shoulder and be like, okay, he didn't seal the post on either of them, but he was a freak.
He was fantastic. I thought this was going to be one of those classic. We were the much better team, but we ended up losing because hockey's a weird sport conversations. And I really didn't want to have one of those because of all the talk on Twitter about how they could go on this run, they could do this, they've been playing well, and they have been playing really well. It's just we did not need that type of loss. That would have just, oh my God, the vibes. It would have just absolutely murdered the vibes. So good on them for coming back and winning that game.
Yeah, JP looked over to me at one point. He was like, I did not realize that the Ducks were 7-1-1 in their last 9 games.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, before that game they were.
Not anymore, they're not.
That's right.
They ran into a wagon.
1-0, down 1-0 going into that second period, and then the Ducks would score once again. Both those coming off of both on the power play. The first one on a 5-on-3. It wasn't me or this game was reffed atrociously. From the very start. It was 2-4 minutes into the game. They get a 5-on-3, and I remember Tage Thompson came down the wing like later that period, stick right to the hands. Then I think he got hacked again like later, and I don't know. Wasn't one of the better reffing performances in my opinion. But the Sabres go down 2-0, and on each of those Ducks goals, didn't like either of them from Luukkonen's perspective. I thought the first one, he was really slow to get over. And then I think he tried to course correct on the second one because it was a very similar play. And by the time the puck slid through his legs, like he was in the corner. He was like outside the trapezoid.
He overshot his trajectory on the second one. Yeah, that first one was tough. And I get it's a 5-on-3, but it was tough to watch in person. Just not only was he slow getting over, he still had the opportunity to save it, and he just like misplaying a ground ball. It just like went right through his glove. It just went off like the end of it. Just we'll get more into it when the player grades come around.
This is a tune up for
We're gonna
You're just teeing it up. You've been teeing it up the whole time.
Make your own assumptions now.
laying out the F minus grade he's about to give Luukkonen this season.
Y'all thought I was crazy.
I just feel like he's genuinely bad on the power play. Like, I feel like he's got to be one of the worst goalies in the league at making saves on the power play. It's both of those, I mean, neither of them are snipes.
It's a good shield for criticism. It's like, man, like you should have saved that. Well, it's like, no, they're on the power. They're on the kill. It's a 5-on-3.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can try and pull that up because I feel like it's true. I mean, I feel like his save percentage on power plays has got to be awful.
When that second goal goes in, and it was a very sloppy period for the Sabres, and you could kind of feel it was starting to feel familiar. Felt like a game we had seen, many times over the course of the season, where they come out hot, whether they score or not, but they end up surrendering a lead and not being able to break through, leading to a loss. We head into the third period, and just 2 minutes in, Owen Power takes over a shift, wins a puck battle, goes to the net, takes a shot, puck goes into the corner, wins another battle, and slides it to Dylan Cozens in the slot, who then slides it over to JJ Peterka. Sabres are immediately on the board, and you knew that this was probably going to be a long period for the Ducks, whether they got the win or not. And just a few minutes later, after just a whale of a shift by, I don't even know which forward line was out there, but I know Rasmus Dahlin and Bowen Byram were out there, just continuing their incredible streak of just dominating play consistently. And tail end of that shift, Alex Tuch comes flying off the bench. Cozens leaves it for him on the wall. He catches Lukas Dostal trying to seal the post and slides it in between his foot and the post. It's rolling on the goal line, but as Tuch rounds the net on the other side, he would tap it in. And just like that, it's a 2-2 game. And that's something that we really haven't seen ever, because after the Sabres went on to win this game, it was their first multi-goal comeback in the third period. Like, we have not seen this type of scoring in bunches much.
See, you wonder where it was during that 13-game stretch, man. It's like, I think before and after, they have like a record of 24-14-2 or something like that, something around that ballpark. 13 games. Just...
I think there was remember that Canucks game, like early in that streak, they had like a 2-goal comeback in the third before losing that one in overtime. But yeah, usually the multi-goal bunches just come in the first period and then end up, being surrendered away later in the game. But game completely flips on its head in a matter of 4 minutes, and then just a few minutes later, Henri friggin' Jokiharju comes down the wing, and the words are leaving Dan Dunleavy's mouth that this is how he scored in the tournament, and he roofs one over the shoulder of Lukas Dostal, and place goes bananas. Come on, man. How can you not get up for that goal? That's just so funny.
It's elite Finnish defense right there. Do I smell an extension brewing, Jonah?
Said like a good 3 games.
It's funny. I made that comparison to Risto and about his goal against the Sharks all those years ago, and I remember like at the time when he scored that goal, because like his name had still been up in like trade rumors. I just remember thinking like, you can't trade this guy. Like he scored that goal against the Sharks. You can't do it. Over time, I think, I think my views changed a little bit, but
Yeah, I think you're kind of seeing the same thing with Cozens right now. Like he had a better game. I mean, he had 3 assists, I believe, and he's had a better little stretch. And now people are all of a sudden high on Cozens again. It's like don't don't let like a small game stretch, influence how you think the whole season went.
well, I think that's an interesting conversation to have because, we are a week and 2 days away from the NHL trade deadline. And the Sabres play, give me 1 sec, pull up how many games they exactly play before then. They play 5 games. You're seeing a positive trend from this team, what feels like since kind of the new year. Like definitely, once the 13-game losing streak ended, and I think once we got into the new year, like it's been a decent hockey team. And now it really feels like they're finding their stride. Everybody's starting to get healthy again. It just feels like things are slowly starting to come together. And it's a really weird period, especially you've got, you got Carolina tomorrow, but you got 2 games against the Canadiens, a game against the Sharks, and then a game against Tampa. If they kind of get hot here, do you think that changes how they approach the deadline?
They just go all in for expiring UFA contracts.
They're the team that gets ran in.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't, but I wouldn't be surprised because it's like, let's just say, they don't lose a game going into the trade deadline, and then what? They would have won 10 of their last 11, right? It's like, oh, you don't want to, mess up a good thing that's going right now. You don't want to mess up the vibes in the locker room. Like imagine, in a week or so, Cozens is still playing better. He's still a captain on this team, and then we trade him out and bring in Pettersson. It's like,
Right.
I don't know.
That
how
sounds like
well,
a great idea to me. Like
Well,
I don't see any issue in that logic.
I don't disagree, but it's like I don't know how that'd go over in the locker room.
I think, JP, I think you made a good point.
I think the Pettersson thing is different. If Vancouver, I don't think there's any world where Vancouver comes to them and gives them Pettersson, but offers him in like a deal that, if it's still the Cozens for Byram template, I think they still take it. I think it's more along the lines of like, let's say Detroit called them and it's like the Marco Kasper thing. Marco Kasper, like, I don't know, Michael Rasmussen, like that sort of template. Or if it's another team.
Or
Like,
buy
do they-
field.
Or do they do that type of trade? That I think, unfortunately, because I don't think it should. Like you got to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. But I think if shoot, like let's say they like win all these games hypothetically, they go into the trade deadline on a 7-game heater.
No
Or
way.
even because let's say they win both Canadiens games, beat the Sharks, and maybe steal one, or not even steal one against the Lightning or Hurricanes. Like I think even like if they win 3 of 4 going into the deadline, I don't know. I think it changes it slightly.
The
I don't think it
schedule's so
should.
deceiving though. Like right now, like yeah, we got a good stretch. After the deadline, it gets a lot harder. It's like we could easily rattle off 4 of these next 5, and then we go on a dry streak, and we're like, what the hell did we just do at the deadline?
Well,
It's like we just traded for Wayne Simmons and Cahoon, and then we lose our next like 7 games.
And missed the bubble by 2 points.
Yeah.
Because you had a game scheduled and it got canceled because the world shut down. The world decided we were not making the playoffs that year.
Everybody focuses on the Montreal game, and they just refuse to believe that they got reverse swept in the West Coast trip right after going all in.
Oh my God.
All in, yeah. Traded for Wayne Simmons.
You don't understand the Cahoon legacy, the Linsanity run, okay?
But I was one of the people who wanted to bring him back, but
As long as there's delusion, there's hope. We have this conversation every year. It was, hey, if they win 8 out of the next 9, and then maybe they lose
Okay,
one
but
and
like
then they win the next 5.
JP's point is right. And
No,
I don't mean to
is.
burst his bubble, but this isn't exactly on record an organization with a track record of being forward thinking.
Right, exactly. But here's
You imagine they keep their roster and then they're like, oh shit, we play the Panthers, the Oilers, the Golden Knights, like all within our next.
We
Like,
got a tough stretch coming up.
shit, we didn't look at this.
But
Why didn't anybody bring this up?
here's what I personally think they're not going to do anything, especially if they get hot. All right. Especially if they get hot. And you know why? Because it's just going to justify what the front office and the organization has thought this entire year. That they haven't done anything and they have full faith in this group. Once they actually start winning, they're going to change philosophies now and they're going to just start moving pieces. If they wanted to move pieces. I get the market, but like still they probably would have done it by now.
That's fair, especially the 13-game losing streak stuff. Like
Exactly,
obviously nothing was done. I think like if they don't trade Cozens, for example, you're not really in a rush to, right? What changes now and between the draft? Not much. I still think you got to do something. I think if you wait to trade Cozens, fine. If you end up keeping Byram, fine. But you have to do. I feel like of those two, and including Quinn and Zucker and Greenway, like there's no way. Like, what are the chances all 5 are on the roster next season? I mean, all 5 of them. I don't feel like somebody's got to go because there's also there's roster spots to think about. Like this team's not going to go into next season with Zach Benson penciled in on their 4th line.
Right, but
So
do you
something's got to give.
My low-hanging fruit right now is probably like Jack Quinn.
If that's your one trade, are you mad at that?
No, I'm fine with that.
I think
if it moves a body off the roster for something, sure.
Even if they make like a swap.
But you're swapping, honestly, if you're swapping for Jack Quinn at that point, I would just, and this is weird to say, like I'd rather just take a prospect. Like because like you said, you're not penciling Zach Benson in on your 4th line next year. Who are you gonna bring in another middle 6 guy just to eat up space?
I don't know. It depends on what they see. I mean, they want to keep both Zucker and Greenway, but as JP and I went pretty in depth about, or I think was it the 4 of us that went in depth about it, like just how their lineup sort of looks if you include. Like, if you bring back basically everybody, yeah, the spots are limited. So, and it's even if you trade Dylan. Like, if Dylan Cozens was our example, like, okay, if that's the guy to go, well, your wingers are still kind of stacked.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think, like, no, even if they win, that best case scenario is they go in on a 7-game win streak. It's probably not going to happen, but it would be really weird because best case scenario, they're probably 2 or 3 spots higher in the Eastern Conference standings. Like they might be, if they win out, they're probably sitting like 7 or 6 points out of a spot. But
imagine having to go on this much of a heater just to say you're in the conversation.
If anybody's watching us on YouTube, we seem to be we keep losing JP here. I don't know what's going on with the internet connection, but hopefully we get him back. I don't know. 1 week. It's kind of weird. We're 1 week and 2 days from the deadline, and like there's been nothing.
No.
Like AHL trades like that. This is either going to be the most silent trade deadline ever, but like I don't really see there being any reason for that. I think next week's going to be fun. Maybe it all happens in one day, a few days before, but I feel like, especially with like Rantanen maybe being flipped, you got the Marchand rumors. Who knows what the Penguins are gonna do? I feel like it should still be an active deadline.
I think it could be fun, but we have this conversation every single year.
It's going to be such an
active deadline.
There's good deadline. 2 years ago, remember they made like the most trades ever. And like last year, you had mean, shit, the Sabres probably made like well, maybe not the biggest, but like the most out of nowhere trade. Yeah, the Hurdle trade come in after like the deadline passed. It was still pretty good.
Speaking of that Sabres trade, do you think Middlestat gets moved?
I don't think who's going to take that contract.
And won the trade. Won the trade.
There's no better way to cement the fact you won the trade than by reacquiring him for like a
Jack
third-round
Quinn.
pick. Yeah, Jack Quinn.
Do you think anything's gonna happen that'll be crazier than the ranting and stuff, like last month?
I don't
Tough
see
to
a
top that.
I feel like Seth
Other
Jones.
than him being traded again for some reason.
I feel like Seth Jones is an off-season trade, but I feel like that's just something. There's so much hurdles, but like maybe that could be something that comes out of nowhere, and gets done early. I think. I mean, if Pettersson did get moved, like that would still probably be out of nowhere. I mean, if we're building to a trade no matter what, but it's still like that would be, I think, insane if it happened. I don't know who else. What would be like a blockbuster guy that's maybe been on the
Well, like,
block?
Rantanen's what, like top 10 in the league, and it's just like random Friday night. Like I
Yeah.
don't think anything like out of the blue would top like how crazy that.
No,
was
that
to
I don't. Well, I
read
don't
and,
think
like,
any.
react to.
Yeah, I don't think any like, oh my God, trade might happen, but I don't know.
I feel like I keep hearing Byfield's name get thrown around.
I don't know why they would do that though. Like
Like
Kopitar.
weird.
How
It's
old's
like all the
Kopitar?
time.
Isn't
sitting in a good
Kopitar
spot.
35 at this point? Isn't he on their first
Yeah.
line? Am I wrong? And they're like what, like 30 and 15? They're having a
He's
great
like
season.
Second, third in their division. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's
Losing
been
to the
on-
Oilers year
Kopitar's
after
been on the
year.
teams. Yeah,
Losing in
but
the
it
first
does.
round year after year to the first. It does stuff too. As Bills fans, like I get it. You lose to the greatest player to possibly ever play the game year after year and send you guys home early. Yeah, it's frustrating. I get the feeling.
It messes with you. It really does. Man, Kopitar's been playing for the Kings for like almost 20 years.
Yeah.
His whole career. Yeah.
His whole career, yeah, but his first season was the year the Sabres won the President's Trophy. Oh no, it was the year
Good.
before.
Good God. He's seen it all.
Seen the rise and the fall of an empire.
All right. Let's stop wasting time and why don't we get into our grades. So, just as a reminder, this is our second year doing it. These grades are mostly based off of expectation for the player. So yes, it takes into account what they've done, obviously. But for example, if like Dennis Gilbert gets a higher grade than like Dylan Cozens, it does not mean that we think Dylan Cozens is like a worse hockey player. It's based off of expectation. It's your typical letter grades, A+, A minus grading system. And there was one more thing I wanted to bring up. Oh, the baseline is B. It's like B is average, B is what you expected out of a player. And B minus below average, B plus above average. And you go from there, and then F is the worst grade you can hand out. So we're still missing JP right now. Don't know what's going on with the internet connection there. But he did text me his grades, so I'll read them off. He actually just texted me right now. I'll join you if you need an explanation for any of my grades quickly, but I don't know if I'll be able to join for the remainder. So, yeah. No, I'm not going to let him do
You
that.
can't like pull up a chair or something.
He's working off a 20-year-old desktop, folks.
Yeah. We were joking because he just recently got a gaming monitor, and it's like it's like a colorblind person seeing color for the first time. Like he's just so like wide-eyed, like, oh my God.
My laptop's about to crap out on me too. I got a notification that said, "Thank you for choosing this. Your laptop will no longer get any system updates. So thank you for choosing this laptop." I was just like, "What?" And they're like, "Let us fit you for your next laptop." I'm like, "Bro, I don't got that money."
Mine's fine as long as it's plugged into a power source. And the
It's
battery
mine
goes in like
too.
20 minutes.
All of us have crap laptops. How does this production work?
I don't know. Mine works pretty good, especially with all the editing stuff I have to do on there. But
Thank God it's you, man.
Yeah.
You needed a good one.
Yeah. Can you imagine if, like, because my whole life I've gotten hand-me-downs for JP. Imagine he got the nice computer, and like I have to run everything through his like 2010 Mac. No, he doesn't have a say. If he has any bad grades, this is on him. If he has any bad, honestly, man, I just read one, and I'm very surprised by the first grade he listed here. So, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
We'll get into it. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. So let's start with the captain himself, Rasmus Dahlin. What grade? Christian, I'll let you lead things off. What grade would you give to the captain in his first season, donning the C at?
We're starting off hot here, folks. I gave him an A+. This is prime Rasmus Dahlin we're witnessing. Everything that was promised on draft day has been delivered. The last season, a little bit more. He's been fantastic.
Because I was thinking about these grades, today, and I was thinking about Dahlin, and I don't think it's crazy to say that this is probably better than his 22-23 season.
Yeah,
I think thus far, and which is crazy because like I think he deserved a Norris that season, and like I think he's stepped it up. I think honestly, a large part is he has a better partner. He was playing with Samuelsson for the majority of that season, but yeah, I mean he's been a monster.
I think he very well should be in the Norris conversation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the Makar crime family will not allow that to happen.
Yeah, it's a shame. Plus, from now on, it's probably just going to be Hughes and Makar, and then a third leg. And Zach Werenski deserves it. So, it's tough to, especially when your team is done when it's done. But Jesse, I'll hand it over to you. What did you give Rasmus Dahlin?
So I didn't go any A pluses on my entire list, but if I were to give one out, it would have been Dahlin, but I just went with a flat A for him. I feel like he's just been incredible this year. And
I also gave him an A. I think it's tough to give a guy like that an A plus because, with the grading system we do, because it's like you could argue a B. Like for some people, like, yeah, this is what you expect out of him. Like JP, who gave him a B plus.
Really?
Yeah, that was the interesting one.
But
like
plus,
I would assume he would give that response. Like, yeah, this is what you expect out of Dahlin, which I don't think is crazy. But I think because he's taken that, honestly, another next step, and honestly has been hurt this season. Like, just saying like he couldn't shoot the puck normally, and he's still doing what he's doing. Like, I'm at an A. Jesse's at a A as well. What grade do we kind of want to settle on here?
Well, I just thought of something. Do you think going forward, like obviously after this, we should change our benchmark? Because in retrospect, everyone should be getting an A if you're that hockey player, and then you move down. Or am I wrong?
I suppose. I think it's already. I think B is just a good, it's an average grade.
It's fair.
So
fair.
It seems like we have you outnumbered. I don't know, Jesse. Are you willing to go upper, maybe even down?
I definitely wouldn't go down.
We're not going below an A.
I kind of started doing these until when you told me about the based on expectation. So I think an A is fair. If Christian wants an A plus, I'm willing to give Christian what he wants. But
I mean, if we say there's an A plus range, is there really anyone else on the team you're giving an A plus?
I think there's one or two. I'm willing to go up to an A plus. We can do it. We can do it for the hell of it. Because people are going to
for the captain. For the
hell of it. Because you know what? Yeah. We saw how the team folded without him. I think he's deserved. He earned that plus with how the team folded without him.
Yeah, you suck on that one, JP. You're not even here to defend it.
A plus for Rasmus Dahlin. Tage Thompson. I'll start this one off. I gave him an A minus.
Okay.
I think
I also gave him an A minus.
Yeah. I think he's been great. I think it's just it's another season where it feels like he's been banged up a lot. If this is the first instance that happens, it is what it is. But it's kind of a trend we've seen over the last 3 seasons, and I think that's a similar conversation to what we'll have about Samuelsson. And there was about a month here where he was slowed down by those injuries again, but now you can tell he's getting healthy, and even moved back to center the other night, which we didn't really talk about. I think A- is where I landed.
I gave him an A, but I agree. I think I'm willing to go to an A- just because he was injured, but when he's on, he's on. Like he's there, and he performs above what our expectations of Tage should be, even when he is healthy. But we haven't seen that all season, so I'm willing to meet you down there at an A-. What did Jameson say?
He went B+ again.
Bro, geez, he's
taking this expectation thing to heart.
He's got that like engineering professor grading score, bro. He's got to like round everything up. He's got a curve built into it.
I hope we get a bunch of years where he's not playing through at least like 2 different injuries every single night, where he can just dominate like he did, putting up almost 100 points and just.
With you there.
We all hope for it, but it seems like we got 2 A-, a B+ and an A, so I think that just means we need to meet in the middle, right? A-.
A- for Tage Thompson. Alex Tuch. Jesse, I'll divert this conversation.
What are you smiling about, Jesse?
What's so funny?
What's so funny over there, bud?
Nothing. Who are we talking about?
Alex Tuch. What you got?
I went C+ on Alex Tuch.
Jeez. All right.
Talk me through it.
I'm not his biggest fan. I don't know. It seems I'm in the minority with everyone I talk to, but then there's also other people that I talk to about Alex Tuch with, and they're sick of him also. So I don't think he does as much as people like. When he came in, he was like the Eichel guy, the guy for Eichel, and everyone wanted him to be the next captain and all. And I think he's still up on a pedestal for a lot of people, and he's just not for me anymore. So, I mean, his goal last night was nice. I think that was just a classic Alex Tuch goal, though, and I'm just not his biggest fan. I don't know.
You've made that quite apparent that you are not Alex Tuch's biggest fan over the course of this season.
I'd have to really sit down and think, like, and give you a bunch of reasons, but just it makes me upset watching him play sometimes. Just the stuff he tries to do, and I think the role that he's played for so long, I mean, like first line, second line, like I think he should absolutely be at most a second liner, and maybe that's not his fault with who they roster, but I don't know.
Jesse, I'm gonna straight up. I gotta disagree with you here, Ben. I gave Alex Tuch a B+. He's got 44 points. He's probably on pace for a 60-point campaign as long as he doesn't get hurt. He is a monster for this team on the penalty kill. I think he serves a great purpose in the role he plays currently. I could meet you a little bit there. I don't know if he should be on the first line anymore. I'm open to having that conversation, but yes, I think he's a second liner at the absolute lowest. I'm gonna have to go B+. I think he's outpaced what expectations I've had for him this season. Nothing obviously in that upper echelon, just because we've seen consistent years of this out of him, and I think this is just another good campaign for him. So I'm gonna stick with the B+.
It's funny. I think by far, because I remember we did our postseason grades last year, and I remember like when we posted the episode and when I posted all the grades online, there was one that stuck out as like, I think going back we might want to change that. We gave Tuch an A-, and I remember it's because like he had 56 points, like he led the team. So we were kind of like in that. Well, it's like he kind of did that. It's like I don't know. I just remember thinking that last year, and I think I'm kind of with Christian here. You know, crazy to think he's the second Sabre to hit 20 goals this season, only behind Tage Thompson.
He might just be the Nikita Kucherov of this team. Just sneakily puts up points every year. Just sneakily is always in that heart conversation, man.
You are.
I'm poking the bear right now.
You're poking the bear.
Oh my god. That's two names that just shouldn't be in the same sentence.
This is blasphemy, according to Jesse.
I think this has been your average Alex Tuch season. So I think that's why I settled on a B. Remember, actually, yeah, I settled on a B. I don't know. I feel like this is exactly what you want to get out of him. Maybe even more. Like I don't think a B plus is out there, but he's been demoted to the second power play unit for the first time since he's gotten here. But he's also probably he might be their best penalty killer, which is actually a crowded group between him, Greenway, and McLeod. I think I can go up to a B plus. Once again, I think I'm getting hooked by the production. Like 44 points in 56 games. It's pretty good. You kind of forget, you get lost in so much of the season, you forget it's not bad.
What did JP say?
JP also gave him a B plus.
Okay, so we got two B pluses.
So I'm thinking about this further. I think it would be better because I don't think we're gonna get Jesse off of an example like this, and it wouldn't feel right if we came to our consensus is this, even though Jesse just did not want to move off of it. I think this is better if we just throw it into a spreadsheet and we have the spreadsheet average out our grades.
Okay.
I think that's better. That way we don't have to fight.
Fair enough.
So I'm at a B plus. JP's also at a B plus. Jesse's at a C plus. And Christian, you were also at a B plus?
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be B at the very minimum.
Probably. C plus for Alex Tuch. Nobody hates on Alex Tuch like Jesse.
I mean, if you want to call it a B minus, we can call it
no.
That sounds better.
I think this is better. It's good. It's good to have different opinions. You're not alone in this thinking. Like a lot of people don't. I don't know if I want to call it the honeymoon period, but it's the allure has come off of him being the hometown guy, hardworking guy.
I just look forward to when he scores now, and I just feel my phone in my pocket buzzing, and I'm like, yeah, that's
everybody
that's
I
our
know.
Friend Brandon. That's our friend Brandon, just lighting up my phone.
Yeah, he's been all over you on Twitter. All right. Dylan Cozens. Coming into this season, a lot was expected of him, and suffice to say, for the most part, he has not delivered. Christian, what did you give him?
Just gonna be straight up here. D plus. Give him a D plus. He's been very underwhelming. A lot was riding on him this season. He was given the assistant captaincy. He was delivered in that core group of guys, and it just hasn't been there all season, and it was just more of the same from last season. You thought last year it was just the injury, he got punched in the face, and I don't know what it is now. It seems like he's warming up a little bit now, but I would say a little too late at this point. We could have used you 3 months ago, more than that. Back to the beginning of the season, it's a shame.
I'm glad you went low because I went C minus, and I was sitting here worried that I went too low on him. But yeah, just the same thing. Like based on what's expected of him with the contract that he was given, that he just hasn't lived up to in the slightest, and it's just like disappointment with him. Like another guy that I remember seeing people like, oh, like maybe he should be captain and like hope he's a big part of this team for however many years going forward, and now people are hoping he's in a trade package for someone else, and it's just like
He was
don't know
given the
what happened with him, man.
he was given the big contract and he just didn't seem to pan out after he got his money. But it's weird now because you haven't seen much out of him in so long, and then now you see last night he had a 3-point night, and now you
And
start
everyone's
to
back on him
yeah,
now.
it
Like,
starts
oh my God,
it,
he's the best. He's
it
so
starts
good.
to
And
yeah,
it's like,
the
Because he
old
was
thoughts
really
start to creep in.
he was really good. He was really
Yeah.
good last night, and you're just like, man,
and
like,
people just forget the last season and a half.
well, it's not even that. It's just, well, yeah, but it's like, why can't you do that more often? Like, why is that so few and far between?
What'd you give him, JP?
Who are we talking about?
Bill and Cozens.
Oh. Did you read my grade or should I read it?
We didn't read it yet.
Oh, all right. I gave him a D plus.
Same, bro.
I will say it was a little boosted. I think I originally had it as a D, but he has been
Was
a
it
little
last
better
night?
recently, so I did.
Was it last night that swayed your opinion?
Well, I didn't realize he's
That's a
genuinely
yes.
been playing
The well
better
is a
this
yes.
past few weeks.
The well is a yes. It's like, well, I don't know.
To be fair, I made these grades a month ago exactly. I checked because
All right,
that's when originally this request was
Is that
for.
some shade?
And
Is
he
that
has
some
been
shade
playing
thrown
better
at me?
since,
Are you coming
so.
after me now? Oh, my bad.
I'm just saying. He's playing better since. He's playing better since.
While you were gone, I did come to a decision on the fly that we're not going to argue over grades. We'll just state our case, talk about it, throw it into a spreadsheet, and then we'll just see what the spreadsheet averages it out to.
Because if not, this podcast is going to be 3.5 hours long.
I was going to say, if we argue, like
Probably
you
a good
missed the Alex Tuch conversation with Jesse, and I don't think there was any.
Jeez.
There
What
was
did
nothing.
you give him?
You gave him a C+. The head shake in the silence. Okay, I gave him a C. I think, because there has been those moments, like every so often, like you get like the Nashville game, like you're all over him, over like just, he's not doing anything. It's like, where is he? And then like he roofs one over the shoulder to tie the game late. It's like where was that? Like the previous 40 minutes of the game. So, and then obviously a night like last night. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's no doubt it's been a very disappointing season, and he's might not be. Chances are not looking likely he's a Sabre next season, which is just, you knew it might be a possibility when the season started, but you really didn't want it to. And here we are all these months later. All right, moving along here. Bowen Byram, in his first full season with the Sabres, has mostly been paired with Rasmus Dahlin. Since he's back, JP, I'll hand it over to you. What grade did you give Bowen Byram?
I gave Byram a B. I mean, I feel like he's been good this year with Dahlin. I mean, obviously we know he's not good away from Dahlin, but I mean, when he's playing majority of his time with Dahlin, I think you should pretty much just judge him off that. And I think if you look at point totals and overall how he's been with Dahlin, you could definitely give him a higher grade. But I know, relative to expectations, the three of us all predicted a really good season out of him. So it's hard to say he's really exceeded any of my expectations.
I think that's fair. I went a bit higher. I gave him a B plus. I think, the metrics have at least taken a bump, and you can attribute that to Rasmus Dahlin, but it's not like he's been an anchor. It's not like that pair has, folded. It's been reliable, very reliable, and, you have to throw them in the same conversation when they're playing good games. They went, we were talking about the Ducks game, and, those two both took over it, and also the Nashville game. So I went a bit higher. I gave him a B plus. I think I've been very happy with how it's looked. Trade talk TBD on what they do there.
Yeah. I also gave him a B plus. I mean, there's talks about concussions being an issue coming in. We didn't really get much out of him after the trade. I mean, very small sample size, other than the Nashville game, which he was fantastic in last season. Playing with Dahlin, he's doing great. I mean, he's exceeded my expectations even a little bit. So I gave him a B plus. B for Bowen.
Yeah, I also went B plus too. I don't really have much to add on what you and Jonas said because you guys kind of covered it. So
We're gonna start repeating ourselves a little bit. We're
yeah,
all gonna have the same rationale at a
yeah.
certain point.
So I mean, I think he's been really good. Haven't really seen him make too many mistakes where it's been noticeable. So no complaints.
Peyton Krebs. For me, this is like I think the definition of a guy. It's like doing exactly what I thought he would do. I gave him a straight up B.
I gave him a B minus.
Yeah, I also went B minus. Based on expectations. Yeah.
I think he's been great this year. He's performed in his
You
role.
gave him a below average grade.
Slightly below average. It's a B minus. But I think he's been good, but he still is a former first round pick. You kind of want more out of him.
I just don't think that's ever. He just is what he is.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe he's like a three. Finally, can bump himself up to a 3C. But I think he's just a really reliable fourth line center that does what a fourth line center needs to do.
Okay.
I gave him a C plus. I was hoping he could maybe take a little more of a step. But I still love his game. I mean, I said to Jonah last night after he got a penalty, then comes out of the box and then gets into a fight. I was like, I just love his game. Like he's a rat. Like I love him. Like I can see him being one of those guys who just, was plugged on that fourth line for years to come. But, I'm always hoping he takes a little step like Christian was alluding to.
I think a line of him, Kozak, and Malenstyn would be pretty nice. I wouldn't hate that.
Unreal levels of dog on that line.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Jason Zucker. This is, I think, the one guy that it's interesting, based on expectation, like what you think of him. I rose to A+. I think he has exceeded any expectation I had.
Okay.
This is the one guy I went A+ on.
Easily.
Okay.
There's one other guy that I fought myself on, and we'll get to him. But I mean, what did you think of Jason Zucker? Did you think he would be bona fide top six forward, first power play unit, on pace for? I think maybe he slowed down a little bit, but he's still roughly on pace for 30 goals. I mean, if I told you Jason Zucker was going to score 25 plus goals this season, you might think they would be competing for like second or third in the division.
Nope.
Did not happen, but I just think, this guy's been everything you wanted out of him and more.
I gave him an A, but you may have convinced me. The greatest free agent signing in Buffalo Sabres history. Probably deserves an A+.
Yeah,
somebody go.
I was waiting for
JP
Jesse.
was up. I thought JP was up. I also went A.
My response was still our response was still loading for JP.
No, I already said I second what Jonah said.
I didn't hear that part. Yeah, I also went A. He's been way better than I was expecting when we were talking about how they need like a top six forward in free agency, and they brought him in, and everyone's like, "What the hell are they doing?" And turns out they knew their shit bringing him in. So
okay, next up, JJ Peterka. I'll hand things over to Christian to start this one.
All right. I gave JJ Peterka a B+. I mean, he's still young. He's still very young. He had a very big task at hand of, being one of the top guys on the lineup going into the season. He was penciled on that top line with Tuch and Thompson. He hasn't moved away from the top line. He's had a couple of slumps here and there, but you see last night he had the first goal of the game. He's been scoring much more than his draft partner and Jack Quinn. I say he's not like in that upper echelon yet where he just absolutely exploded past my expectations, but I think it was a good season for him. So I'm gonna go B plus.
Yeah, I also went B plus. It seems like we're matching on a lot of these, but like
You should have seen You should have seen last year where Christian was totally unprepared, like didn't
Just
put a
winging
list
it.
together, and so when we would lead the conversation, I would go first or JP, and then so JP and I would go first, and then Christian would be like, "Yeah, like I'm with you guys, like right, that's what I
There's
have."
like,
No, I do have a
Yeah,
list here
man.
just for everybody. I'm not unprepared, but I mean, there's been times where I've been watching. I feel like Peterka's been the best forward at some points in the season, and he just hasn't been as consistent with that as maybe a player who's getting an A would get. But yeah, I've liked what I saw from him, and again, no complaints from me on him. So
Yeah, I gave him a B minus. Still a little too streaky. I mean, he is young, but it's
Wow, below your expectations. Interesting.
I mean, coming into the season, we were all talking about giving him a huge extension. It's like then right off the bat, like he didn't play good to start. He's
he got
been better
concussed
recently.
immediately.
Well,
That's true.
I don't know.
Two shifts into the season,
That's on him.
He did get his face taken.
I don't know. I guess I'm not saying he's had a bad season. I mean, I was surprised by seeing he has 43 points when I was like doing research for this, but I don't know. He's still very streaky.
No, I mean streaky's definitely the trend with him. I think Jesse put it best. Like when he's on, he might be the best forward on the ice. His best moments have come with Tage Thompson, and I think you're seeing those two develop like as a duo that you more likely than not always put together. They got split up the other night for the comeback, but that he is when he's on, he is on. But there have been those slumps, and even his power play impact continues to be a struggle. He's still not the greatest player on there, but I think the bump in production, being able to be one of the best players on the ice, from game to game, I did also go B plus here. All right, now for the interesting one, sort of, really just for one of us. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. We get into the starting goalie conversation. JP, why don't you take the reins on this one first?
Yeah, I mean, I've been one to say I don't think he's had a good season. That he's a big part of why we're in the spot we're in. And I gave him a C minus.
Christian, that your smirk is radiating.
My smirk is radiating because JP gave a lower score than I gave.
Wow!
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 I gave him a C plus.
Wow! That means
I
I
mean-
gave him a C.
I mean, I think he's definitely not performed up to expectations. He's still come through in certain minutes. He's had a really large workload. I mean, he kind of thrives in that, so it's almost like you can't really even give him his flowers for that. But I mean, it's definitely not what he was last season, but he hasn't like sunk us like he did two seasons ago, where you had to bring Devon Levi up just as like emergency because he couldn't stop anything. But I don't know, man. Goalies are weird. I'll just stick with somewhere between a C and a C plus. I'll just take the C plus.
I kind of needed you to buy into your bit on hating on your guy, so I didn't look as dumb with Alex Tuch. But I went C plus also. I never really have expectations for goalies, so I know he just hasn't been.
amazing.
He just hasn't been great.
That's a good
so.
perspective to have, honestly.
It
That
is.
is a very good perspective to have.
Well,
Yeah.
Well said.
I mean, like I said, it's tough with goalies because it's tough with Luukkonen because like you definitely expected regression from last year. It's just this has definitely gone further down than you would have wanted. But it seems like we're basically all in consensus on where he lies. All right, moving on. Ryan McLeod. I think that being brought in, I think we all saw it being as a third line center acquisition. You know me. I've fallen in love with the player. I just love his game from top to bottom. And he has, he's on a career trajectory pace. I mean, the shooting percentage has seen a bump this season, but still, it's got to be an A for me. He was the guy I flirted with an A+, but there were some times he was overmatched this season, like when he was thrown in the first line center role. So it kind of reminds you that he can only do so much, but I think it's just been such a good pickup, and I'm going A.
I also gave him an A. Pretty much the exact same reasons.
I also gave him an A for
Oh, we're going 4 for 4 here.
the exact
We
same
are going
reasons.
4 for 4.
Or our first consensus grade. How
Yeah.
about that?
I mean, he's 7th on our team. He's tied for 7th on our team in scoring. I don't think anybody probably would have predicted that coming into the year. So he's having a good year.
Sticking with new acquisitions, Beck Malenstyn, I think, given what he was brought in to do, I think he's done exactly that. I don't think he's done any more or any less than what you would have expected, so I went B.
I also went B. Are we going to do it again?
No, we're not. I went C+. I don't know. I might have forgotten about the criteria on this and I don't know.
Big Cole Hudson
Sticking to
fan.
it though.
That's what it is.
It's crazy to me that that's who they ended up being the pick, but whatever.
We'll see.
I gave him B+. I mean, he's the only fourth liner that we brought in that has stuck around. I mean, he's genuinely been really good. Good penalty killer. Don't care what the acquisition cost is. He was a good guy to bring in.
Hershey Bears product.
Owen Power. Definitely a divisive figure in Sabres discourse. And it has definitely not. It's been an up and down season. I went B- here.
Okay.
I think, he's definitely like from probably December through most of January. Like it was a rough stretch. But I think now he's definitely starting to get his game back. Like I said, he had that great shift on the Peterka goal the other night. He's still up there in 5v5 points scoring, still doing his thing. So I don't think, I know some people will have strong opinions, but I think you definitely want to see a bigger step taken this season.
Mm-hmm.
So I would even, if somebody put like a C+, I wouldn't fight them on it, but I went B- here.
Man, I went B+. I must have just... Owen Power's a quiet player, man. It's like if you don't notice much going out there, it means he's doing the right thing. Like the offensive game isn't completely there yet. But he's still up there in 5v5 goal. He's not the flashiest player. Obviously, everyone wants him to work on his physicality. And I think that's coming along too. I think it's a step in the right direction. I don't think he's been bad by any other than that stretch. I don't think he's been awful. I don't know. If I was flirting with like a B to B+, I just went with the B+ because it's Owen Power.
Once again, me and Christian had the same score and a B+. So nothing to say. Just I've liked watching him this year. So
Somehow I'm the pessimist with all these grades. I'm
Cut him off. Cut him off.
I was looking forward to
That's
it.
amazing.
No pessimism.
He left us hanging.
Forward to it.
He left us hanging.
That
That's
sounded like it was going to be
incredible.
such a good argument too.
That's incredible. Oh my God. Oh,
We
that's
will have
awesome.
no pessimism in this meeting.
That is awesome. I don't know. Should we give him a sec to join up?
I don't think the toaster he's running his meeting off of is gonna Gonna reboot in time.
He just texted me. Great timing. Yeah, I'm done. You guys can finish without me.
He crashed out after his laptop
done.
crashed out.
He is done. That's incredible. All right, I do have his score here. He gave him a C+.
Okay, I'm sure he kind of gives similar reasons to what you were saying, Jonah.
Which I think is fair. So C+ for JP for Owen Power.
He's going back to bed.
The timing right there is comedy gold. It's so good.
This is why we watch on YouTube, folks. You could see it in real time.
Okay, moving on. Zach Benson. Christian, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Okay. I gave Zach Benson an A-. Can I ask you a question? Is he still a teenager?
I believe he's still 19.
And he's already developing into one of the Sabres' best two-way forwards. Like, it's unbelievable what this kid has done in the time he's been here. And it's unreal how he fell so far in the draft right into our lap. I think he's definitely outperformed my expectations. I think, again, maybe you want to see the scoring come along a little more, but maybe that's not more of his game. Maybe he's more of a defensive style forward, but that's a guy you need on your team. So, I mean, no slander here for him. I just gave him an A-. So room for improvement, but no complaints.
So to touch on once again, the criteria of expectations, when I was going through the list, he was the textbook, has done everything I've expected. And so I started a B, went up to a B+. But I wasn't in the A's with him.
I am at a B+ as well. I think I think A- is fair as well. It's one grade up. I think, the production's gone down slightly, for season projections, but part of it's not his fault. Part of it, I mean, look, he's on the fourth line right now. I think you can absolutely agree that, he should probably be better served to be playing above Jack Quinn, but at the same time, like, Benson is just one of those guys you can plug and play literally anywhere. He's on the fourth line, and he could be on the fourth line for his entire career, and he can make it work. I guess just, with the defense, just with the insane defensive metrics he's put up this season. Man, I kind of want to go up to an A- just because he's been so damn good defensively. It's, screw it. I'm gonna go A-.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
He's a guy I'm always pumping his tires, so I'll have the grade reflect that. Okay. Jack.
What about JP?
Quinn.
What did he have?
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I forgot. So
he's still a part of this,
it's
right?
tough, if he's not here to remind me, I might just skip over him. He is at a B+ for Zach Benson. Jack Quinn. Another guy that, you wanted to see have that JJ Peterka breakout, and suffice to say, it has not happened.
I gave him a C-. I feel like I was being nice too. There's not much to say. He's had a couple of good games out of the 50 or so he's played. He's been scratched. He's been in and out of the lineup. It's another tough situation, man. You're banking on him and Cozens. Remember all the time we talked about it last offseason? Do you really want to put all your faith into these two guys? Are they gonna take the steps back? And they didn't. And that's kind of why you sit where you do right now. So C-.
So what's the default score for forgetting to put him on your list and not grading him?
I think that's just a straight up F.
Probably an F.
If you forget to put somebody on your list, like, it's not a good sign.
I don't know how that happened, but I don't have him on here. So
I have a theory. I think he's just been that bad.
He has been that bad. I agree. I don't think he's an F, but I'd be more than happy to give him an F because I think he's been pretty bad. But
I think
I also feel bad giving him an F because that puts him in the same tier as the only F that I gave out.
Well, it's okay. I'll do it for you. I gave Jack Quinn an F.
Wow.
I think I was too nice. Definitely too nice.
No, I think it depends. It depends what you thought of him going into the season, and if you remember, in the preseason, I was still banging the table for them to extend the friggin' guy. I was willing to take that chance. And it's fallen flat on his face, flat on my face. And listen, at least Dylan Cozens has had those games like last night where it's like, okay, like there it is. That's Dylan. Like, where is that Dylan Cozens been? Why can't he show up more often? How many times can you say that with Jack Quinn?
Once the Senators game. Probably.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And other than that, I don't know. And he's just been legitimately so detrimental to them at points. And, I think the only plus is that I think at points he has been good on that top power play unit. But the only times he has been really useful is when the Sabres are up a man. So, and even at times he still frustrates you. So,
yep.
I don't think there has been a player that's disappointed me more because I was so high on him coming into the season. And yeah, I mean, it might be a little mean, if that the leg injuries he's had, but I'm sticking by the F.
Okay. So I'll settle at a D after forgetting to do it and listening to you talk. And yeah, pretty much I'm not a big fan of him. He makes me think that Alex Tuch is good comparing the two of them. So
on that note,
yeah, what did JP give him?
Oh my God, I forgot again. He gave him a D-.
Okay, yeah, close enough.
I also forgot that D was a thing, so it's fun to give out a D.
All right. Connor Clifton. I went with a B here.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's done pretty much he's been pretty solid on the third pair, I'd say. I mean, maybe, hey, if you've been lower on him,
man, I think it just, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of regretting my choice here. I went C-, but I think
he was
it's
healthy
too
scratch.
mean.
He was healthy scratch for Jokiharju and Dennis Gilbert the other night. If you're lower on the guy, I don't think that's crazy.
No, I mean,
he
serves a role.
I went B.
I think I was a little harsh on him. I think I'll go. I'll go C+. I'll bump him.
I went C. So if you want me to be the lowest grade,
no, I'll keep him C. I'll keep him at C.
And last year I was I don't remember what grade I gave him exactly, but I had a tough relationship with him last year. I don't know. I just think he's done fine in the third pair role.
You almost hated him more than you hated Eric Johnson.
It's tough to do. It's tough to do. Moving on.
You did it again.
Son of a bitch. I keep forgetting.
Should we just hold off till the end and just read
no.
one by one?
Nah, it's better to do it now. Where is he? C+ from JP for Connor Clifton.
Okay.
Jiri Kulich. What a story he has been. Making the roster, making the Czechia roster, but really only because they were going to Czechia, getting sent back down to the Amherst, then coming back up and sticking around. And now he's, we'll see how lines shake out for tomorrow's game against Carolina, but has been their first line center for the past month. I went A here for Jiri Kulich.
I also went A. Exact same reasons. First line guy. What else could you ask for? He's a rookie. Come on. You don't see that every day.
For all of the reasons you guys said, I went A-.
And what did JP have?
JP had an A.
Okay. It's pretty
in agreement there.
Right there, yeah.
Henri Jokiharju, the newest Finnish superstar.
Did anybody adjust theirs yesterday?
No.
Because I did.
After one goal, the snipe brought him up a letter grade.
It floored me.
I went C- here.
Exact same. C-.
I went from C- to C after
he took the minus.
Hey, you know what? Good for him. Yeah, I can't argue with that. It's a sick goal.
It is, yeah.
It's a legacy moment. And JP went with he didn't even have him on the list. All right.
God.
Not the only one.
There you go. So what'd you give, I guess we'll just give him a D based on that.
A D.
If you forget to put a guy on the list, it's an automatic D.
That's a good. I've found that while you said to use B as the standard, I feel like I've used C as the standard, and that's not helping a lot of guys that are coming
That's because
up.
this team kind of stinks.
Yeah, they
That's
do.
why.
This team stinks.
I did kind of just forget that. Oh, like B's the standard, and so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna change them though. So if I seem negative, it's that I just forgot that B was supposed to be middle of the way.
Sam Lafferty. Less
You
than
wanna
a
start,
year.
Jonah?
I'll start. Less than a year into his 2-year deal with the Sabres, he's been healthy scratched for multiple players, including Tyson Kozak, who I don't think was on anybody's radar coming into the year. I just went straight F here. Like, he's been so bad for them. And of course, like, that's the guy they signed to multiple years.
Yeah, this is my lowest grade on my list. I gave him a D, bald man bad. I guess I can, I'm gonna just bump down to a D minus. I'm not giving any Fs because I'm that cool teacher that doesn't give out Fs to any of his students. But D minus, no bueno.
This is the one I'm changing on the fly because I forgot that D was a thing. I had him at a C minus, but I'm bumping him to a D.
Actually, you know what? In the meantime, I'm gonna bump another guy down to it.
If we were arguing about grades, I would argue about this because I really, like, I just can't, like, he's being healthy scratched for, like, Tyson Kozak. And I don't know. I just think, like, given how much money they gave him for multiple years, like, it's just been a disaster signing. And, he's a fourth line player, so it doesn't kill the team. They're easily replaceable. We're going to do another fourth line player they sign next. It's not going to kill your team. There's ways around it, but, like, it's just has not worked at all. JP went with he did not have Sam Lafferty on here either.
God,
That's 2 in a row.
Looks like it's a D.
we're so prepared, guys. Look how prepared we are for this.
Yeah, we only put the most amount of effort into preparing for this show.
Not any more than you have to.
Mattias Samuelsson.
He's the guy I just bumped down a letter grade. D.
I went C plus.
Really?
The numbers don't hate him this year. They're not awful. So he's not been Jack Quinn levels of bad. He's just been unavailable, like as per usual.
Yeah.
And is now pretty firmly a third pair defenseman, which is just not what you really wanted from him, over the course of his development. But here we are.
I'm fed up with the injuries and third line pair just rims the puck around. Just not much of an offensive presence.
So I wanted to give out one F, and I landed on Samuelsson.
I won't fight you on it.
It might just be because that's what I was getting at. Yeah, that kind of might have been the last straw for me. But
he got a few scraps last night.
Mm-hmm.
I think the message has been sent.
I don't know, man. I got nothing.
I get it.
What about JP?
JP forgot. No, I'm just kidding. He went with a B minus.
Oh my God, he's way too nice.
I need to hear about it.
Jeez.
It's funny because I can see both sides of the conversation. Like, I can see the F side, and then I could see like where I landed on a C plus. It just depends how you look at him.
Yep.
Well, I mean, yeah, it doesn't help that my favorite player gets destroyed to the head, and he just stood there and did nothing. But
Tage,
No
what happened?
bias at all.
Your helmet's not on your head. What happened?
Oh, what did I miss? Well, he's looking right at it, but whatever.
All right, moving on. Jacob Bryson. I went B+ here. I think he's been good when he's played, and he's been pretty reliable 7th D. I don't know. Not much more to add to that, I guess.
Another victim of the guy where I forgot the scale, so I gave him a C+.
Isn't that an automatic D? Oh,
No, I gave him a grade. I gave him a C+. That B was the standard, though.
I think we're about to lose you, too. Your Wi-Fi's... Son of a bitch.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No.
You're next.
Dude, this is
not-
Dude, I'm on
falling
the
apart.
5G, too.
Guys, we got to have a talk about this.
I'm on the 5G.
All right, Christian, did you say yours yet?
Yeah, I gave him a B. I think you're getting exactly what you're at as advertised. 7th D. He's serviceable when he's in the lineup. He doesn't make too many mistakes. I think he's been perfectly fine.
I would agree. And hopefully while Jesse figure this out, JP went with a C.
Oh, okay. A little under.
A little bit. All right, next up.
Better.
Oh my god. It was not any better.
Oh, no, dude.
I mean, that was. Like, you totally.
Oh, my God.
This is not good.
I think we might just need to go back down to a 2-man here. Well, don't worry, soldier. We'll read your grades off for you.
Oh my god. We're so close to the end.
Crazy.
We're so close to the end, too. All right, Jordan Greenway. I went A- here. I think he's had a great year. The only caveat I think is really availability, which is, been an issue since he's gotten here. But, when he plays, man, like he's been a beast in their middle sticks, and we've seen that over the last few games. So, it's why there's been a lot of talk about an extension.
Mm-hmm. I love Jordan Greenway. The availability is, I think, what kind of bumped me down for him. I just gave him a B. There's not much to go off of him. I mean, when he's been in, he's been awesome. He just hasn't been in a lot. I can't really make too much of an assumption here. So just went with a straight up B.
Yeah, no. Is it bad?
Yes, dude, it's so bad. You're not even moving.
It's so bad, dude. We cannot see you.
Should I leave and come back?
I hope. Oh my god! I hope to God he didn't press leave meeting. I hope that was organic.
Oh my god, dude, this is
incredible.
This
We've
is the
lost
most
two
amount of
co-hosts.
This is the most amount of technical issues we've ever had on this show.
This is bad, man. What the hell? I don't know. Should we wait? What do we do?
I don't know, man.
This is a disaster.
Jesus.
Who's next? That's the question.
It's not going to be me. I got my own Wi-Fi over here. No one's running on it.
I guess I'll have to finish the spreadsheet from here. Did you finish your thought on? I think we finished our thoughts on Greenway.
Yeah. I just said he was as advertised.
Okay. Well, let's just see what JP said. JP gave Greenway an A- as well.
Okay.
So there we go. All right. Moving along.
Plowing ahead.
Dennis Gilbert.
Dennis Gilbert. I gave Dennis Gilbert a C+. In and out of the lineup, he seems like a rotational guy. He serves a purpose. He's out there for his physicality. He's not the best player in the world. He does make mistakes. Honestly, I feel like knowing all that, I could have put him a little higher just because he's like more as advertised, but I've seen some stuff, man. I think C+ is fine.
I gave him a B. Like, when he was signed, I think it was pretty obvious why they brought him in. He's done exactly that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just went B. Jesse gave him an A-.
If you was still if you're still listening or watching, Jesse's gone now too for technical issues. That would have been a discussion. A-.
Yep.
It was definitely just for the fight with whatever the hell that guy's name on Columbus is.
Or Matthew Oliver.
Yeah.
Someone had to respond. All right, moving along here. Actually, hold on. Did I read JP's? I don't think I did. Sorry, I have to read through two people's who are no longer in.
We're
in
no
the meeting
longer with us. God bless them.
JP went C minus. Or yeah, C plus, C plus.
Okay.
C plus for Gilbert. And you went C plus as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Moving along, Nicolas Aube-Kubel. There are three players that I went with an F grade. Jack Quinn, Sam Lafferty, and my final player, Aube-Kubel. This one is a definite F because I did have a lot of hope for this signing.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I forgot to list them, but F.
Oh my God! There
F
we
is
go.
perfect. F is perfect.
There we go.
He's in the AHL.
Yeah, I mean, there is at no point did I think he was going to be waived. It's just really, really gone bad. It feels like he got off on the wrong foot with Lindy Ruff, and it just feels like he never recovered, never got his game going for long stints, and now we find ourselves he's helping out the Rochester Americans for their playoff run. So that's where we stand.
Mm-hmm. It's a shame.
All right, let's head over to James Reimer. I went B here.
Yeah, this is an easy one for me. I went B. He's not played a lot, but when he's played, he's been fine.
I would agree. I would 100% agree. Jesse went with a C plus, and JP went with a B as well. Sticking with the goalies, just making the cut, which is funny. He has the same amount of games played as James Reimer. Devon Levi.
Really?
He does. They both have 9 games played. This is an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
I went with a D, which I think could be harsh. I flirted with C minus as well. This does not include AHL numbers whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It does not. It's purely NHL stuff.
The problem is, it's like after UPL signed that contract, it kind of solidified him as the number one. So my expectations changed. So he didn't get a lot of games, and he didn't really take advantage of those games. So I think a C minus works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think it's just kind of like, he had the easier job. Now he was the backup. Like there was no expectations, contrary to last year. And, he's fallen short of that. He couldn't make the cut. They wanted him to be the backup, and he just couldn't cut it.
Nope.
And, he's admitted he wasn't really ready for that role. It's a lot different from being the day-to-day starter.
Mm-hmm.
JP went with a D, and interestingly enough, Jesse went with a B minus.
Right.
All right, last player on our list, Tyson Kozak. What did you give
Pleasant
Tyson?
surprise, man. Tyson Kozak, B plus.
Right there with you.
Didn't he hasn't played a ton of games, but when he's been up, you see the fans want more of him. I love the way he plays. He's a bona fide fourth line guy. I hope he's back up to take. I hope we never see Sam Lafferty again. I hope he's on that line. Like I said earlier in the episode, I think him, Malenstyn, and Krebs should be your fourth line, like going forward. But you don't want to take him away from the Amherst playoff run. So B plus.
JP also went with a B plus, and Jesse went with a B.
And that'll round it out.
That will round it out. I didn't mention at the start, but there's 2 other Sabre. Our cutoff is usually like 10 or so games, and not counting goalies. So you had Levi and Reimer, both at 9. The only 2 cutoffs were Ryan Johnson and Isaac Roseanne. I think Johnson had 3 games and Roseanne had 2. So that wraps up all of our games, or all of our grades. We'll just wait a sec as I finalize the spreadsheet here. So do you want to hear our rounded scores?
Rattle them off.
All right. Our average grade for Rasmus Dahlin was an A. Tage was an A-. Tuch was a B. Cozens was a C-. Byram B+. Krebs B-. Zucker A+. Peterka B+. UPL a C. Ryan McLeod an A. Beck Malenstyn a B. Owen Power a B. Zach Benson A-. Jack Quinn a D. Connor Clifton C+. Jiri Kulich an A. Henri Jokiharju a C-. Sam Lafferty D-. Samuelsson C-. Bryson B. Greenway B+. Gilbert B. Aube-Kubel D. Reimer B. Levi C-. And Tyson Kozak B+.
No Fs on
No
the
Fs.
averages.
No Fs. I wonder if it has to be Fs across the board.
Probably close, yeah. Probably at least has to be 3.
So that'll
What
do
an
it.
episode. What an episode.
What dude,
So many
what-
technical
What
difficulties.
the hell, man? We gotta figure that out.
God. They both need new laptops. I'm the one talking like my laptop is literally told me it's not getting updates anymore. Still works perfectly
Dude,
fine.
JP, when I was setting up the monitor, like I was just checking, like I was going through his computer, and like the settings said like new update is ready. I'm like, oh, I asked him, I was like, when's the last time you've updated your computer? He's like, I don't know, because he doesn't have the storage for it.
You all have Macs, dude. That's the problem. I have a Windows. I could update, just restart this thing and updates.
I forget what he has, but I have a Mac Air. I have like 200 something things of gigs of storage. And this is just, he has like 50.
He's got an old one.
I have 245 gigabytes to use.
Jesus.
So bad.
Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Been up and down. But no, it's good. I like doing grades. I like the system we hammered out this year with the average grades rather than fighting over. I mean, at points you're telling people that they're wrong.
Right,
so,
yeah.
You got to come up or down in my grades. So no, it was good. We'll post this on social media and see what people thought this time around. I mean, like I said, last year was mostly the Tuch A- that people were up in arms about, and I definitely see it. So pretty well rounded. Looking at it now, I think a lot of people are going to be mad at the A at Dahlin ending up at an A. Blame JP. He went B+. He dragged that grade down. All right. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening. We'll talk to you guys again sometime this weekend after the Montreal game. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow us at The Sabre Report. Also on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Sabre Report. If you listen to this on YouTube, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to tell us what you thought in the comments below. Were any of these grades horribly bad, or did you agree with most of them? Be sure to tell us. And as always, go give our friends over at the Buffalo Sports Talk podcast a listen. They just dropped an episode today or yesterday, whenever you're listening to this, discussing parts of the Bills' offseason, which direction that should go. So their offseason content is in full swing, and they should have a lot more stuff in the lead up to the NFL draft. So go give them a listen. Go give them a listen. Jesus, they do great stuff as always. So, if you got nothing else to add, it's been an eventful night.
It's been quite a night.
Right now I'm checking scores. Senators lost. Hell yeah.
5 in a row.
Canucks are up. Damn it. Need the Kings to come through there. That's all I really got for scoreboard watching. Ovi scored again.
Yeah.
Not good. He needs 12 and 14, I think. So
It'd be cool if it was against us.
It would be really cool.
Yeah.
But it's just funny.
Yeah, of course.
All right. With that, we'll see you guys next time. Take care, and as always, go Sabres.
Go Sabres.